We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at WGNSradio.com. This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
Right now, that time, 8:20, you're tuned to WGNS. And this morning, we'll be talking about the Middle Point Landfill. And we are joined by Mike Classen this morning. How are you, man?
Hey, Scott. Good seeing you as always. I'm doing great.
Well, good. So what all's happening at the landfill this time of year?
Oh, man. Well, first of all, I can't believe it's already the middle of July, going on August. The year is absolutely passing us by. So look, I mean, really, for the past couple years, we've really prioritized being out in the community, being more present in Rutherford County. And really, our work and operations are an integral part of everyday life here in Rutherford County, just like a public utility. But, as you know, there's been a lot of questions or untruths sort of floating around about our operations and who we are as a business. So we've really been on a mission to set the record straight, get out and talk to our neighbors. And we started calling this the Good Neighbor Plan, but we didn't want to steal the thunder of your wonderful radio station with the great brand. So we adjusted it. This is our community engagement action plan. And, really the idea there is we want people to trust us, rely on us, and know that when they take their trash out to the curb, it's going to be handled in a responsible and cost-effective way. And that's really what we're doing.
Well, it sounds like a pretty much stress-free job altogether.
Yeah,
right?
You got it. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So what is the next, that engagement type event that is coming up? Have you got one coming up? Because I know you've had a lot over the last, couple of years?
Yeah. So last year we hosted those 6 open houses kind of all across the community as a way to really get feedback from folks and to get our message out there. We did Earth Day. We've done a lot of door-to-door. We've done a number of these engagement events where we've asked people to come out to us. And so what this is our community outreach team will be going door to door to go to the people to gather feedback about our operations, anything different people have noticed, and suggestions on how we can improve. We know that citizens in Rutherford County, this is a shake your hand, look you in the eye, see you face to face kind of place. And that's really what we want to do. We don't want to be engaging on the social media and everything else. We want to talk to people, hear from them, and use that as a way to really kind of talk through all the things we've done and some of the things that we're looking to do here in the future.
And back in, I don't know, was it 2022 or was it the start of 2023 where you first started really talking about and highlighting the massive changes that were going on and that whole, the recycle, the turning gas or making natural gas?
Yeah.
That was a big announcement.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And look, so I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. And really, as we've been listening to county commissioners specifically and citizens, we've been kind of doing these things piecemeal. But really, yeah, about a year ago is when we had that big announcement of, county commission came to us and said, we want renewable energy projects in Rutherford County. We want something cutting edge. And so we came with the idea of creating a renewable natural gas energy plant to convert gas from the landfill into pipeline quality gas. And that was about a year ago. Since that time, a couple other things that we've done that I think have really sort of pushed the needle in listening to folks. In January of this year, citizens in Rutherford County have said, hey, we don't want to be the dumping ground for all of Middle Tennessee. We're tired of all of Nashville's trash coming to Rutherford County. And we said, okay, we obviously still have to operate a business, but we hear you. And so on January 1st of this year, we pushed 25% of all of the waste that comes from out of the county. We went ahead and turned that away as a first step. And so that's another big thing. And then, the other one that I'm honestly the most excited about. So education is a big, big deal for us, and partnering with schools and helping to, provide some tools for those schools is something that I'm personally just super, super passionate about. So, we have just announced, and I'd love to talk about it more, a grant that's going to be to Walter Hill Elementary that is $120,000 for an outdoor learning and education classroom, and that actually is going to be built and constructed here this month.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah. And when you look at that naturally occurring gas that comes from a landfill like Middle Point, how much gas are we talking here?
We're talking enough gas to heat about 80,000 homes.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of gas. I could use the 7,000 standard cubic feet per minute, but even me, I'm an engineer. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So it's enough to heat about 80,000 homes.
And then how is that going to be utilized here locally?
So that gas is going to go right into the Atmos energy pipeline that goes right down 231. So all of the same ways that, industry, you have like the Nissans of the world and other industry that use natural gas to fire their equipment and their industrial processes, they will use it. We'll also have, in all of our homes, every resident in Rutherford County that has natural gas on their stove, on their water heater, any of that gas is going to be used in their homes as well. So it's really, contributing to low cost, clean energy for every single citizen here in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County.
And how far along is that project? Is it already being done?
Yeah, it's already being built. Right now, we're working through some easements. And as anyone who's ever done land planning, easements can be fast or very, very slow. This one is a little bit slower. So right now, our schedule is probably around end of Q1 of next year. We will be up, fully operational, and producing that natural gas here for the community.
And kind of walk us through this. So the easements are what? The right away going towards the Atmos lines, the Atmos power, or the Atmos gas lines?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So, as we're doing interconnects and having to cross other people's property, there's just some legalities to that process and helping it move.
Yeah, it'd be kind of weird to look out your back door and what's that guy doing out there?
Yeah, just secretly drilling underneath my property. Yeah, I know I wouldn't want that, and we couldn't legally do it anyway. Yeah. So
what else is happening out there? Because with the undertaking of this project, I know you're also doing a lot of other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, we really are. So our focus right now has and will continue to be making sure that we continue to do a great job managing our odors on site. So that we have a $1.6 million project happening right now to expand our system, which collects and controls the gas that's generated as waste decomposes. If anyone's driving by and sees like a big drill rig up on top of the hill, that's what's going on right there. We're actually drilling wells that are almost 160 feet deep down through the waste to apply a vacuum and suck gas out of the hill. So that's happening and truly exciting. We also this fall are going to be building a new what's called a cell, which is a new like waste containment area that's within our permitted boundary. And so that construction is going to happen to free up some space and really help us, through the next 4 years. In 4 years, that's the number that we have for remaining airspace if nothing else changes.
And for those listening, seems like every time Mike comes on the air, you always say, we're doing this $1 million project. Yeah. Stuff with garbage and trash waste, it's very expensive.
It is. It's so expensive. And, that's why you see, I think there's frustration sometimes in the community where it feels like the landfills are all like big regional landfills. And that's true. They are. And the reason for that is it is really, really expensive to manage and operate a facility in compliance with all of the really important regulations that we have. The old county dumps, those types of things that were scattered all over the state, those don't exist anymore because they're just too darn expensive to operate. So you really have to have scale in order to make these investments. We're putting in probably in the range of $5 million every single year just of capital improvement projects, just to sort of stay on center with as the landfill is moving and waste is degrading and things are changing. You got to be 3 or 4 steps ahead. Otherwise, you'll fall behind pretty quickly.
Now, I know we're still hearing a lot from the county, a lot from the city. We hear the county mayor talk about the life of the landfill, the life expectancy of the landfill, then different projects going on there. What is the life left in that landfill currently?
Yeah, so right now, as of today, if nothing else changes, and I always caveat that with if we still take the same amount of waste and all of those types of things, it's 4 years. So 4 years from today is the number. Anyone who's telling you something different doesn't know what they're talking about. And that's what the number is. Yep.
So 4 years left right now. And if the landfill were to expand one direction or another, or maybe even to expand upwards somehow, how much or how many more years could be added on to that life expectancy?
Yeah, what a great question. So look, the discussions that we're having with county leadership and city leadership to an extent are focused around a version of Middle Point that is significantly different than what's been in the past. The Middle Point of the past cannot be the Middle Point of the future. Everyone involved in this conversation knows that. We believe that strongly as well. We're going to have to make some hard decisions about what to do with other people outside the county's waste in order to make sure that we have disposal capacity in a low-cost environment for people here. So if what we're talking about comes to fruition, we're talking about another 50 years, 50 years of disposal capacity for citizens of Rutherford County to have free disposal and businesses to have low-cost disposal. But it can't just be a landfill, right? We have to do more. We have to take our waste management system from 1981, which is what we're operating now, literally dig a hole and bury it. We have to graduate to the year 2020, 2030. And that includes, we need to be building recycling facilities. We need to be building education facilities. We need to be building parks in ways that people can interact and see how they have contribution to the landfill situation, right? If everyone's throwing stuff away and no one's recycling, we're all part of the problem there.
So both the city and the county talking about transfer stations, talking about building transfer stations. What are the transfer stations and how does Middle Point fit into that picture?
Yes, think of a transfer station as taken from little trucks and putting it into a big truck so that it's easier to move that waste. It's like a hub and spoke kind of thought. You have all of the trucks picking up from residentials and businesses. They take to a location that's more convenient than landfills, which are typically pretty far away. And you take it from those little trucks and put it in a big semi. All those atomic trucks that we see driving down and through city of Murfreesboro, those are coming from transfer stations, weigh about 25 tons each versus the 4 tons that the small trucks. So what I will say about the transfer stations is, they can be really efficient, but they're also really expensive. If we're building transfer stations, if the county builds a transfer station, which they're doing, and they have a price from a facility in Columbia, Tennessee to transport all of that waste to it, they're looking at $75 per ton. And we still haven't seen a pro forma for this transfer station. I think all of us in county commission are still kind of waiting to see what that looks like. But $75 per ton to manage that waste versus $0 per ton right now, which is what the county has in Middle Point Landfill. So the economics are going to be tough. I think people care about that. I think people know that they just got the largest tax increase in this century on property tax. And this is going to be another one if that's the direction the county chooses to go.
And then what do you know about the city and the county? Because I know they keep talking about recycle plans. They keep talking about having some type of recycling center. What have they said to you, and where does, again, Middle Point fit into all of that?
Yeah, I think the city had a vision for a partnership with Waste Away. And Waste Away is a company that comes in and brings, all mixed recycling and mixed waste into a single facility, and they can process it and make energy out of it and pull recyclables out. And the city kind of had a vision that was going to work. And I think I want to speak for them certainly, but my read on the situation is that I think people are realizing that it's an unproven technology and probably not going to happen. So, so that leaves us kind of back to where we were. And, honestly, what I see is, so last night I went to the Plan Rutherford, the joint session between the Planning Commission and the Steering Committee and County Commission for the 10-year comprehensive plan for Rutherford County. Really a cool event. What our elected officials are doing is incredible to be ahead of the curve, to plan for sustainable long-term growth here in Rutherford County. But I think part of that plan is going to be a stated desire that we need some public-private partnerships, or I hope it is. We need some public-private partnerships in order to get these programs off the ground. Company like Republic, like us, we're eager to build a recycling facility at Middle Point Landfill and act as that hub and spoke for this community. But we can't do that if we don't have a landfill next door that's closing in 4 years. No business in their right mind would invest, tens of millions of dollars into a facility that's going to close 4 years from now.
Now, a couple of years ago, under former county mayor Bill Ketron, he took county commissioners with him, went to different cities, different states to look at recycling companies and what they were doing in other cities and states. And then I believe he asked for a request for proposals from whatever company would like to put in a proposal
Yeah.
to operate here in Rutherford County. And did Republic Services, did they put in a proposal?
Yeah, we sure did. So that was a really weird time because it was right around COVID also. So that happened, like those trips I think were like immediately pre-COVID, and then COVID happened. And then so it was a little bit herky-jerky, but we did submit, there were 6 items on there, everything ranging from collection to operation of transfers or of convenience centers to recycling to disposal to management of the county's closed landfill. There were 6 items. Republic was the only company who submitted a bid on all 6 items. We were shortlisted along with a couple others. We interviewed, and then after that interview happened, it just went silent and things kind of stopped. So, that RFQ process, I think was a good one. I think it made some progress, and it really kind of was the first step to taking action. But since that point, things have generally stalled on those conversations.
So is the county or is the city, are they any really, honestly, further along than what they were just a couple of years ago?
It's a great question. I think, it seems like everybody's waiting each other out and no action is kind of being taken in the meantime. Right. And so I think, we're at the point now, and we've been saying this for a long time, but we are literally at the point right now where something has to happen. And I think the county realizes that. They built their transfer station. So I think folks at the county would say, yeah, we're further along than we had before. We have a backup option if Middle Point closes, which is totally true. City's doing the same thing. But as far as like a long, that's a move, that's a kicking the can down the road solution. That's not a long-term durable. The thing about a transfer station is you're sending your waste to a landfill, and no landfills can get expanded in Middle Tennessee right now. And so the landfill it's supposed to go to has 8 years of capacity left. When you put this much waste in there, it's going to go down to 6 years. So it's a solution for 5 years, but that's not sustainable growth. That's not what this county leadership is so passionate about, and I think is so smart to be thinking about. So look, I truly believe that we've got the right leaders in place in the county level. And I think that those leaders know that this is a crisis that's coming and we got to solve it in a way that's economically viable. And I think that through this comprehensive planning process, I went to the meeting last night and literally solid waste in landfills is written in one of the top 6 issues for infrastructure that this county is going to be facing. So I think that's kind of their vision, it seems like to me. And that makes a lot of sense. It's got to be tied into the broader growth strategy of the county. And I think that's where they're going. Again,
with us this morning, Mike Classen with the Middle Point Landfill and Republic Services. During the open house sessions that you had with Middle Point, and whenever you had guests come meet you, you talked to local schools, just every situation. What was the number one question asked to you about Middle Point?
Oh man, that's such a good. So we had, I would say the top. I'll give you the first one, but I'll give you the top 3 also. Okay, so the top 3 pieces of feedback were number 1. They are, why don't we recycle? I think people are just like scratching their heads, like, where is the recycling program here? And that was from kids all the way up to adults. And so that, I think, was the number 1 thing. The number 2 thing was a real concern about the cost of services. If not knowing, what does the future look like? How much time do you have? We're hearing all these different things. We don't know who to trust. You're saying this, but our mayor says this. And it's like, well, I'm going to trust the mayor and not this guy at the landfill, right? So, so there's concern about that and how much things are cost. And the other thing was just people are looking for leadership on this. I think just to your question earlier, we've been talking about this for a while, and it doesn't necessarily feel like we're making much progress. I think people feel that. There's sort of this fatigue in the community about trash. No one wants to talk about it. They just want it to be solved and not have to think about it anymore. And so that, I think, were the main things. There was a lot of questions about, people have read about, people know Middle Point used to have an odor problem. I mean, that's a concern. People say, yeah, you fixed it, but how do we know it's going to stay fixed? That was a question we got quite a bit. And so we talk a little bit about, how do we ensure that we're being good neighbors and all of the investments that we put in, and how do we make sure that continues to happen? And so those were the types of real questions, I think, that came up that we really enjoyed being able to answer for people.
So if Middle Point does have to shut down in, let's say, 4 years from now, it's not literally shutting down, because Republic Services has to monitor that landfill for how many years to come after the closure of it?
Yeah, you nailed that so perfectly. Like, there's this perception that we're going to put a padlock on the front gate of Middle Point, and then everything is just magically not there anymore, right? That landfill Middle Point will be there forever. We're on 800 acres in the middle of growth of the north side of Murfreesboro. And what a shame to be so sort of reactionary just to think we're going to shut it down and do nothing. Why not use those 800 acres and create a vibrant campus for sustainability that can support the growth of the community, rather than just be this like smear in the way of the community with nothing happen. So for the next 50 years, we're required by the state of Tennessee that Middle Point is going to be producing landfill gas, is going to be producing wastewater. Trash trucks are going to be coming in there. We will build a transfer station next to the county's transfer station. All the waste will still come in. Trucks will still come out. The environmental things will still. So it doesn't. The thought that Middle Point will close and all of our problems go away if there are perceived problems, that's not accurate.
How expensive is it after a landfill closes? How expensive is it just to maintain and oversee it when it's not accepting incoming trash anymore?
Yeah, so part of the business model for landfills, and the state of Tennessee actually requires this, it's called financial assurance. So it's a closure and post-closure care fund. So after the facility is closed, how much money do you have to have for the next 50 years to make sure you have enough? So basically, every ton of waste that comes into Middle Point, we take, some money from that ton that we get paid for, and we put it in a bank account, and that has to stay there to manage. So it's in the range of probably, I'm going to call it $8 to $10 million a year to manage the facility after it's closed, and we have no revenue coming in. So you got to plan for that ahead. It's like a retirement account, basically.
So this is like the landfill's Roth IRA.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Yes, that's a good one.
So if, let's say you have 5 employees who continue to stay there to monitor that over the years, maybe they have to check in, read a computer once a week, I don't know. But their paycheck suddenly, does that change from Republic Services to that, whatever that account is?
Yeah, it would still be a Republic Services employee. As these facilities transition from active to closed, we do keep on staff. I think the important thing though is, at Middle Point, we have about 100 like high skilled employees that are employed there right now. And as if the facility were to close, that number is going to drop to 5. So there's a significant support. We talk about jobs and the importance of high skill, high paying jobs. That's something that Middle Point does in spades, not to mention all of the truck and drivers and support. You ever been to Crossroads station there on the corner of Memorial and Jefferson Pike?
Busy area.
That place is popping. Yeah, absolutely. So we got businesses all around that really rely on that traffic that comes through there.
And, if this were to happen, if Middle Point closes, if there's not an expansion there, like you were saying, kick the can down the road, the county, the city, they're still going to have to figure out what to do with their trash. They're going to have to find a landfill to accept the trash that maybe is not diverted to some recycling facility. They're going to have to find a place to put it. And then the other problem is that place, too, is going to have a life expectancy and then has to, start all over again.
That's right. Yeah. I always preach, and I have in my entire career in solid waste, communities need to control your own destiny as it relates to solid waste. Look at Nashville. Nashville is not in the driver's seat right now. Like Murfreesboro and Rutherford County are in the driver's seat because we have an asset here that people are willing to pay for, right? I mean, if you're sitting in Nashville and you're like wondering if Middle Point closes, all of a sudden you're thinking, I'm going to have to send all my waste, 90, 120 miles away to Kentucky, and I'm going to have to pay to take it up there, assuming they're going to take it, and they're going to charge me out the wazoo to bring that in, right? And so communities are best if they control their own destiny as it relates to solid waste. And that's what this community has in Middle Point.
We're going to take a short break, and then we will be right back again talking this morning with Mike Classen, General Manager of the Middle Point Landfill right here in Rutherford County. Again, we'll take a short break, but be right back. Time right now, 8:45.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Capstar is now a division of Old National Bank. You'll notice some changes as we complete the transition to Old National Bank. The Murphy Spread team that you know and trust at Capstar are always ready to serve you. We'll temporarily use Capstar Bank, a division of Old National Bank, until the transition's complete. As always, we're ready to serve you at Capstar Bank, a division of Old National Bank, member FDIC.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
Holden Hardware has been serving the hardware needs of this community since 1948. This is Raleigh Holden Jr. I want to thank our many customers who have helped to keep us in business all these years. I also want to invite those who may be new to this community or have not been in the store lately to visit us. Come experience a unique hardware buying atmosphere with wood floors, old furniture and fixtures, along with a helpful and knowledgeable sales staff. Holden Hardware on the west side of the public square since 1948.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Right now, that time, 8:46. You're tuned to WGNS. And again, our guest today, Mike Classen, General Manager of the Middle Point Landfill here in Rutherford County. Kind of really in Walter Hill, I guess.
Yeah, truly. That's our local neighborhood, that's for sure.
Out of the city limits, though.
Yep, out of the city limits. That's right. That's right.
Speaking of Walter Hill Elementary School, you have a partnership there with that school. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So look, education, as I said earlier, and community involvement as it relates to education is a big passion of mine and something that we think is super important. When I first became GM about 4 years ago, went over to visit Principal Heath over there at Walter Hill Elementary. And as you're coming out the front, and everyone probably knows, but Walter Hill is sort of on the northwest corner of 231 and Jefferson Pike. And so as you come out the front door of Walter Hill and I look up to my left, you literally can see Middle Point Landfill. And that just sort of struck me, and I was like, look, we really have to show up for these kids and for these people and kind of make sure they understand who we are, and we're doing everything we can to support them in their vision. Because I mean, teachers have such a hard job. It's amazing, and they're literally our angels in what they're doing and the resources they have. So we support Walter Hill in a lot of ways, but one of the most exciting ones is so in 2019, a beloved teacher, her name was Miss Katie Woody, tragically died in a car accident. And, you listen to the teachers at Walter Hill talk about her, and they, she's larger than life personality. Any hallway she was in, she filled up the room. Kids loved her. And so after her passing, her family set up the Miss Katie Woody Foundation. That foundation, the goal was to honor Miss Katie with some permanent installation and also support Walter Hill Elementary in some of their scholastic endeavors. So through that relationship, they came to us with an idea. And Republic has the Republic Charitable Foundation, and that goal, we have a national neighborhood promise. We want to support local projects in our communities, not do that themselves, but just give the resources and uplift people who have a vision already in the community. And so Walter Hill and the Miss Katie Woody Foundation wanted to build an outdoor classroom for environmental learning that would be supporting their STEAM accreditation and help them sort of get and maintain that. And so as Republic Charitable Foundation put a $120,000 grant towards this facility. It's been under construction. And on August 17th, on Saturday, August 17th at 9 a.m., we're going to have a ribbon cutting for this facility. And so it's a beautiful sort of outdoor gazebo. After the ribbon cutting, we're going to have a day of service. And that day of service is going to be planting a bunch of landscaping around there with Republic employees and school employees. And so that's just something that we are incredibly excited about. And as I talk about that, I want to also give Walter Hill Elementary a special plug. Like, people need to understand how cool this school is. It has been there for over 100 years. And so on August 10th, Saturday, August 10th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., they're actually having their 100-year celebration at the school. So, Scott, I actually brought you a flyer. I'm gonna leave this with you if you want to come by. And what's so fascinating, you talk to people at Walter Hill, and it's a generational school, like a small town generational school. You have grandparents, parents, kids, grandkids have all been there, walked the same halls. They have photos of it. So the love and the community that you feel at that school is really something else. I encourage everyone. I'm not affiliated with this at all. I just think it's so cool that everyone should come on August 10th from 11 to 1, the 100-year celebration out there, followed by our ribbon cutting for the outdoor classroom the following weekend.
When you talk to kids at schools like Walter Hill, what is their understanding on garbage, on recycling? Because it seems like kids today have a better grasp on a lot of stuff than when I was a kid.
Yes.
There's a lot more information out there for one, and they're able to grab that information online in different forms, social media. But what do they say to you when it comes to garbage and recycling?
They get it. Like, they absolutely get it. I usually talk to fifth graders. That's kind of like our sweet spot for, interactivity and where, kids can get out and go on field trips and all of that. Kids understand that everything shouldn't be going in the trash. Like, they know about recycling. They know what goes in recycling, and they don't know why. They don't know why we don't have those systems in place here. And there's a lot of puzzling questions, and people, they just don't understand why we can't figure this out as the adults in the room. I feel like if we left it to them, they'd probably have it figured out by now.
When you drive out west towards Texas and then further towards California, you literally see solar farms. You literally see the windmill producing electricity.
Yeah.
It seems like every mile or less when you're driving along the interstate going that direction. And I'm curious. I know that's not garbage. They're not recycling garbage necessarily out that direction, but they do have a lot more programs, it seems like, when it comes to not only generating power, but also with recycling, because you hear about it, you read about it. But are we behind times here?
Yeah, we are behind times. The renewable energy is one thing. We just came out, there was a study that ranked Tennessee, I believe, 49th of all states when it comes to recycling and waste. First of all, we generate a lot more trash than other communities. We don't recycle any of it, and we don't have proper facilities for it to go to. And that's a problem in general. But when you combine that with the crazy amount of growth that we have, the explosive growth, Rutherford County by 2045 is supposed to have over 550,000 citizens. That's an incredible amount of growth. And so, we definitely are, I would say, behind the times. We need elected official leadership from elected officials and private industry officials, just like myself. We need leadership from folks to band together and get this figured out. That's what this community is asking for, and I think it's time that we delivered for them.
Is it a lack of funding? Is it a lack of residents wanting to get involved? Or is it a lack of the government being involved, maybe a little too little?
Yeah, I really think there's this historic sort of Middle Point fatigue from some community members, understandably so, and elected officials. And I think we all need to just stop for a minute and look at what things really are. And right now, we have an incredible asset in the landfill that we are sitting here raising our hands saying, we want to do more. We want to help get these programs off the ground, and we will do it. We need municipal partners do that with. Like we can't create the garbage and the trash and the recycling. We can just responsibly manage it. So we're sitting here raising our hands saying we're ready. And at this point, we're ready to be working with those elected officials to meet us there and to make something great happen in this county.
Here in Rutherford County, I know we have different services available to citizens where they, pay a private company to pick up their garbage each week, and then I guess they take it to you.
Yeah.
But then you also have the city services that offer that within Murfreesboro. And I don't know how many different services are available throughout Rutherford County, but do some of those companies offer recycling, and do they pick up recycled goods from your house?
They do. Yeah, they do. And I think you see that in some neighborhoods, especially in Murfreesboro, where you have a higher density of population, which means the cost of collection is lower. If you have, a bunch of people on the same street that are hiring the same company, it's a lot lower cost for the collection of that. All of that material is being driven to Nashville. So it's kind of funny, like we're people think that there's this like boundary that waste and recycling respects on the county line. It's like, no, this is a regional problem that requires regional level solutions. So yes, right now, people can pay a third-party recycling company to come pick it up from their facility. But where we see recycling programs be much more effective is when the city says, y'all are getting a cart. Like, you can fill it up or not fill it up, but y'all are getting a cart, and every 2 weeks we're going to come by. People will recycle. Like, that's just what happens. Everyone wants to do it. Again, it just takes that level of leadership, I think, from elected officials to go make that happen.
And then actually at Middle Point, you do have folks here in the community who will drive their garbage all the way out there. And then I guess they have to pay a small fee, dump off that garbage depending on what it is. And some folks do that as opposed to paying for a trash service.
Yeah, they do. And really what they do is right next to Middle Point, the county has a convenience center, and they take it there for free. So that's where people mostly, we do have like contractors like roofers and shinglers and like drywallers who bring their like commercial waste, or a mom and pop contractors, that's for sure. But look, the county has, I think 13, I might get the number wrong, I think 13 convenience centers all across Rutherford County that residents can bring their waste there for free, and that free then comes to Middle Point for free. So that's a fantastic benefit. And you're right, there are a lot of people in this county that don't want to pay a private hauler to come pick it up and will just take care of their trash for themselves. That's the bootstrap type of way that Rutherford County lives by. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Hey, I know we only have about 2.5 minutes or so left, but as we close this morning, Middle Point is currently in the process of putting together this $70 million sustainability campus, which includes that natural gas conversion and everything. But as we close, what else is going to be happening moving forward?
Yeah, so the next steps for us are really get that RNG facility up and really lean into our community engagement. We're going to be out. If you're a neighbor of Middle Point Landfill, if you're in the Rutherford or the Las Casas, Walter Hill, kind of up around the VA, kind of that part of North Murfreesboro, we're going to be around and knocking on your door. We're going to, we want to talk to you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to share some of the great things that we're doing, the economic benefit that we provide this community, and also get your feedback. This is not a one-way conversation. I think anyone who has ever reached out to us knows that we take that feedback very seriously. We take action on that feedback, and we care. And so that's really what our focus is on right here, right now. And then it's a conversation, we can make from a sustainability campus, we can go as big or as small as this county wants us to do. And it's just a conversation with the county to decide kind of what our future looks like and what their vision is for our place in that future.
And if a teacher is listening and they would like to have somebody from Middle Point to their school stop by for a visit whenever school starts back up, how can they arrange that?
Yeah, well, I would say reach out to me, call me. We had a lot of teachers that have reached out. We are happy to arrange field trips. We'll take care of the busing and everything else. We'll get field trips out to Middle Point, which is a fantastic thing. We're happy to come out to your school and present and bring some props and everything else. But we're also happy just to support in other ways. We've had Some schools reach out. One thing we did was there was a school lunch program that was, they couldn't get teachers or they couldn't get kids to parents to pay for they had delinquent bills on school lunches. And they just asked us if we could help that. And we did. And we just wrote a check and we stroked it off and it was fine. And everyone was able to not have to be hassled about paying for lunches that they couldn't necessarily afford. So those are the types of things we're ready to help out in the community. But reach out to me. My email is mclassen, CLASSEN, at republicservices.com. You can go to our website, middlepointlandfill.com as well, and there's contact information on there.
Sounds good. Again, Mike Classen with us this morning from Middle Point Landfill, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much.
Right now, that time, 9 o'clock.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.